Hey everybody, Andrew Baldwin, Baldwin Media here. I'm starting the project that I mentioned last week. So I want to give you a little bit of background of what it is that we're doing, who I am, and kind of where I want this to go. And then we'll start taking off week by week, bit by bit, sharing a little bit more. So let's go ahead and get to it. So if we're to take a look at this, first thing we need to define what's our purpose. Why are we here? One of the quotes that I want to go back to here says, "Our walk counts far more than our talk, always." So when it comes to being a man, being a biblical man, being a man in today's society, regardless, we want to make sure that the way that we live is the way that everyone is actually able to see us, not from the words that we say. We don't want to be one of those people who just kind of says stuff out and then people look at us and say, "Who are you really?" We want to be able to say and act in accordance with one another. And so, for that reason, that's kind of where I launched this project. So, what's our purpose? Help young men grow in their roles as husbands, father, community, and family leaders. That's it. We want to help people to get better. Young men specifically, I can't speak from anybody else's position, but I realized that for me, there were a lot of gaps in information. There were a lot of expectations that I kind of saw kind of thrown out there, and I didn't really know how to put it all together in relationships. And so, that's what the purpose of this ministry is. So, who am I? Am I some expert, marriage and family therapist or anything like that? Not at all. That's my real name, Andrew Baldwin. I was a teacher for about 11 years. And now I'm an instructional designer, which is a great shift in terms of what I'm doing, but it's the same skills, right? Now, the other qualification that I think is very important for me to put on here is I'm a husband of 12 and a half years. Why? Well, I wish I could say that all 12 and a half of those years were great, awesome, amazing, and we were just growing, growing, growing. But that wasn't actually the case. If I look at it, the first 5 years really, they were a nightmare. And this is not my words. This is between my wife and I. We've discussed this. We looked at it and we kind of tried to figure out what in the world happened. One of the key things I found is I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really have too many examples to go back to. I didn't really have too much to look at other than what society set as an expectation for me. And I didn't realize that there's a difference between what that is and how I would actually have to live my life. Number two, in teaching, being in the classroom, you have a lot of young men that come through the classroom. And the last thing that they would ever expect, to get in a chemistry classroom is information about relationships. But many times you hear conversations, you see the different things that are going on, you see how they interact, and you see that they're trying to figure it out too. The problem is not all of them have good examples to look up to. Some of them do have their fathers in their lives, many of them have their fathers in their lives, but their fathers are weighed down with work, with responsibility, with all of these different things, and they're trying to figure out how to be a man without that assistance. And so we want to make sure, I want to make sure, I can't say for anybody else, that the next generation can build on what I and many of us have learned. If I've found a resource, if I've, made my way into communities of men who are growing and thriving, who are expanding their families and allowing their children to have a legacy to live on, to live under, I feel like it's my responsibility to share that information. And so that's kind of where we're going here. We want to make sure that we're in a position to be able to grow together. So, how does this work? Well, content wise, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to have relationship tips that I'm going to be putting out over social media, probably share a few here as well. Weekly challenges. These challenges, of course, not mandatory, but they're just little things that you can possibly take, look into, and analyze within your own relationship to see if they're actually, if there are any skills or any backgrounds that can be, heightened and grown. course, you'll get my personal perspective, but my goal is in the future to be able to also have other people contributing here. I don't want it to just be me, because I know there are a lot of men out there who have found things that are working, who have, realized how to grow their relationship, how to love and cherish their spouse, how to lead and guide their children. And I want them to be able to share those ideas as well. Now, how do you participate? If you have questions, feel free to ask. This is not a one-sided thing. I don't want it to be a one-sided thing. If you have experiences, share it. Share it in the comments. Maybe you may be one of those people that, we connect with down the line to share some of your wisdom and knowledge. And if you have questions on specific topics, we can continue to study and use that information to grow and to challenge each other. That's the goal. That's what we're working towards here. So with that, I will see you all next time. But I invite you to share, to put this out there, push it as far as you can, so that we can impact as many men, young men, older men, wherever, as possible, to continue to help families to grow. With that, best of luck to you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.